Hey everybody, it's Tommy Canaligan. Welcome back to Before the Lights podcast. This show to find out how those in sports, music, and entertainment made their mark. Joining me today is a charismatic, prolific songwriter. He's one of the most talented, under-the-radar stars that is a country hit maker. He has a timeless sound, powerful voice, who is now recording independently. He has recorded songs such as Fish, Keep Them Kisses Comin', Outskirts of Heaven, and his new release, Nevermind. The man that does it all. Please welcome to the show, Craig Campbell. Craig, welcome to Before the Lights.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing well. When you think back of your childhood, what's the first memory of music that comes to mind?
Oh man, it definitely has to start with the piano. I do remember a very young age going to church and just my mama liked to socialize after church, so we wouldn't like leave church immediately. So I was left just to make the best of the time that I had, and I was always drawn to the piano. So, and I guess she knew where I would be if I was missing. She knew I was sitting at that piano, and luckily for me, my mom recognized that I not only had a desire for the piano, she recognized I had what I guess some would call a little bit of talent. Even back then, I wasn't like, we have a piano here at the house, and when some kids come over, they just bang on it. They bang on it, and I'm like, guys, that ain't what that's for. But she remembers that I never was that type. I always was very, very delicate with it, and she saw something in that. And so I guess as a kid, the beginning stages, it started just, not being able to walk by a piano without sitting down and messing with it.
What type of music did you listen to then growing up?
Early age, my house was filled with Southern gospel. We grew up in South Georgia, and we had radios just placed throughout the house, small little radios, and they were all on the same station, which was not a station that wasn't far away, but they played nothing but Southern gospel all day, every day, and they were at a low volume, so it was almost like a subconscious thing, But when my brother got his driver's license, that's when I got exposed to country music, and specifically like the early 90s, so my brother was a big Randy Travis fan. So I remember listening to Randy Travis and Shenandoah and Clint Black. And that was when my world got rocked, by country music. And I just fell in love with it. And I remember my first cassette that I bought with my own money was the Killin' Time Clint Black, the Killin' Time record.
Yep.
And then the other one that I bought was the Tracy Lawrence Sticks and Stones album. And then right after that, I bought Travis Tritt, It's All About to Change. So those three records they changed my life.
For listeners out there that may be too young to remember the cassette, it was a hot item back in the day. Trust me, they even had cassette singles where you could, as a DJ way back in the day, would live off of cassette singles and vinyl for a long time. So
yeah, it was a trip because and lots of times you would get one and they'd have something on the other side that may or may not have ever been on the radio, but it was
right.
Lots of times it was as good, if not better, than the radio single.
Correct. You won some contests at ages 15 and 18 that were sponsored by True Value Hardware. Looking back, did you learn anything from winning those contests that you might be still using today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess without getting too far down this road, I learned that contests are may or may not be judged solely on talent. I'm glad that I won. I don't know that I deserved to win. 15 years old, there was a lot of people in that were really, really good, and I don't know if I was good or not. I know I love to do it. But the one thing that it did for me was it showed me that it was something I wanted to do very badly. And it was not a question in my mind from that point forward moving that I knew that I wanted to be on stage somehow, some way.
In 2002, what and why did you decide to move to Nashville? And is it true that you basically left Georgia with $25 in rolled coins in your pockets?
Very true. And it's a combination of stuff that got me to finally move to Nashville. My buddy had already moved to Nashville, so he lived here. He was wanting to pursue the songwriting thing. And so right about the same time, very coincidental, we were playing all over the country. I had a band before I moved to Nashville, and my guitar player quit. And I said, that's it. I'm done with you guys. It's hard to replace a guy in a band like that just because the show is tailor-made for the guys that are in the band. And I didn't want to have to go through that again. I said, I'm not doing this. And then, no kidding, my buddy called and said, hey, if I can get you a job in Nashville, would you move up here and be my roommate? He says, me and my wife are probably going to split up. I said, yes, let's go. So that's the reason I chose to move to Nashville at that time.
What were the few months like then when you got into Nashville?
Oh, it was, not much going on. I know that I spent a lot of time on Lower Broadway, just soaking it all in, watching, seeing what it was going to take for me to be able to play on Lower Broadway and all that, and my goal was to just literally move to Nashville and play music and pay my bills. That's all I wanted to do. I had not yet hoped to, have songs on the radio. It was more or less just, I wanted to be surrounded by music. So the first few months was just feeling my way around.
What was the gig like as a band leader at the famous Nashville spot, The Stage? And what did that help you with anything of teaching you about the ins and outs of Nashville?
Having that gig at The Stage every Tuesday night was a blessing. It was a place where I could work on my chops, not only my vocal chops, but my piano chops, my guitar chops. Like when I moved to Nashville, I couldn't play the guitar and sing at the same time. So I was able to fix that. But what I learned was just play the music that you want to play and the people will come. I mean, I was fortunate to have that gig at The Stage, and the bar owner and the manager, they let me do what I want to do, musically. And we had it packed. We packed it out every Tuesday night. So it was a place where I knew that if I just kept doing what I was doing, that eventually somebody's going to come in that can make some decisions and put me on the radio. And so yeah, having that gig, it was at the very least, it allowed me to sharpen my I keep saying chops, because it is what it is, but
right.
It allowed me to get good at what I was doing.
What was the break then, Craig? What was the moment that got you your break?
Well, there was a lady that worked there as a bartender. She was dating a guy that was in the music business. He was one of the big dog radio promotions guys here in Nashville, and she just told him, she said, "You got to come see this guy." And he did. And he came to see me off and on for a year and a half, 2 years. And he always complimented me and was like, "We're going to work together." And I was like, "Well, let's go," And then one night he came in and he just had a different attitude. And he said, I've been watching you for a long time. And he said, lots of times I'll go in and watch somebody play or sing, and then I'll watch them again, and then I watch them again, and then I watch them. And he says, my interest level and my excitement usually just fades away. He said, but with you, he said, I'm more excited today than I was the first time I saw you. He said, I want you to be our flagship guy. And that was it. That was in 2008. And started negotiating our record deal, signed the record deal in 2009. First song came out in 2010, and here we are.
When did you then start writing songs? Have you always been a songwriter?
No, actually I didn't start writing songs until I was in Luke Bryan's band.
Okay.
And me and Luke were sitting at the table one night just at dinner, and I said, "Man, is there any advice? Because I want to do what you do." And he said, "Well, you need to be writing songs." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "No, I'm not telling you that's the secret, He said, "But I will say that writing songs is definitely a good way to meet people. Nashville is a very small networking town. Writing songs, write with different writers that, you'll meet publishers, you'll meet producers, you'll meet record executives." He said, I feel like that's some good advice. And I got back to Nashville and hit the ground running.
Haven't looked back.
Nope.
As you said, in 2011, first single, Family Man, top 15 Billboard country charts, followed up by Out of My Head, another top 15 Billboard. There's also songs as Fish and Topless, which are play on words that are fun songs. Are these two songs still big fan favorites when you go out and perform?
Well, I don't play Topless, and that was never on the radio, but it's a fun song. I wrote that song with my wife, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
Fish, when we wrote that, we knew it was going to be a good song to play live. We never thought it was going to be on the radio, but then it started going over so well live that we were like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And so to this day, it's one of my most recognizable songs, and definitely it's one of those songs that was, as soon as I walk on stage, people are hollering it out. No matter, it's like, I get done with the first song, there's that "Play Fish," and I'm like, "Golly, give me a second, guys." But yeah.
What was it like, and do you remember when you heard radio with your song playing on it for the first time? And what song was that?
Oh yeah. Well, Family Man was my first song on the radio. And I do remember, I heard it a couple of times on my radio tour, but it was, like, "Hey, we're going to play your song at like 4:42, make sure you're listening." So that was cool. But I remember the first time that I heard it and I didn't expect it. We were just driving from Chattanooga back to Nashville, and we had lost we was coming from Atlanta. So we lost our Atlanta station. So we turned it and flipped over to the Chattanooga station. And it wasn't 5 minutes or so after that Family Man came on the radio, but then it was a weird, like, wait a minute, I know this song. and it's like, wait, that's me. And then and it was just a weird transition from, I recognized myself, and then I said, "Hey, that's me." And then I realized it wasn't a CD, and it wasn't us playing it. And it was just like, "Oh, this is on the radio." So we turned it up and sang along like a bunch of idiots. And it was a moment I'll never forget.
Early on, you had signed with Bigger Picture Group. And then how did you hear they were closing, and what kind of thoughts went through your mind?
Well, the president of the record label called me and he said, "Hey, we're going to be putting out a press release tomorrow saying that we have to shut our doors. We have run out of money. I just wanted to give you the heads up before you read it." And I said, "Oh," and we were working on a new album. It was kind of strange. And then it was I was shocked for a second. And then there was a couple of days of just like, what? Deflated, because I had a top 10 song. Like at that moment, he called me. My song was almost top 10, and so it took me a couple of days, and I said, "Well, what do I do now? I got a song on the radio. That's and it's not just on the radio. It was racing up the chart." So the first couple of days were weird and just like confusing, but I said, I know "Keep Them Kisses Coming" is a hit. So I'm just going to call radio stations myself. And that's what I did. And I grabbed my boots by the straps and just, got back to work.
And "Keep Them Kisses Coming" might have been your biggest breakout single at that time then.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely, it's my highest charting song for sure.
In 2014, you wrote All American Kid, which Garth Brooks recorded on his Man Against Machine LP. It was the first time that an artist had recorded any of your songs. How did this happen that Garth wanted to record your song?
Well, that song, All American Kid, was on my record that I was working on with Bigger Picture that, it never came out because they closed. So that song was released back into the wild, and I got to give credit to a girl named Hannah. She was working for a publishing company that owned the publishing from one of my co-writers, and she pitched it to Garth. And not only was it my first song to ever have recorded by another artist, it was her first song that she ever got cut. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, she pitched it to him. He liked it and recorded it.
How was it getting to meet him?
Well, I met him one day. He invited all the singers or all the songwriters and publishers to hear the record. And he played every song one by one. But yeah, he's exactly who I thought he was going to be. He was super nice and just when he walks into a room, it's like, wow, look at this. I'm standing in the same room. It's truly that feeling. And when I heard All American Kid, he was standing right behind me, and it was just the weirdest vibe. But that too will be something I'll never forget.
Do you perform the song still?
No, I don't play it. It's one of those songs. I play it at certain events. Like I played it this past Saturday because it was
Armed Forces Weekend.
Armed Forces Day. Yeah. So I played it, and it was, it was well received. I play it on those days, like 4th of July, and set it all up. But as far as just putting it in my show, it's one of those songs that people have to listen to it. And if you're at a bar and you're rocking and people are drinking, they're not really listening to you, and then they really don't pay attention if they don't know the song. So.
What were your thoughts, Craig, when you saw it perform the 2015 ACMs that was introduced by Taya Kyle, which is the widow of Chris Kyle from American Sniper, and then seeing the fireworks and the servicemen and women coming on stage?
It was beautiful. I actually was in Dallas that whole week, and then I flew home that morning because I wasn't going to the show. And somebody texted me and said, "Hey, I think Garth is going to play All American Kid." And I'm like, "No, he ain't. Ain't nobody told me." And so I'm like, "But let's watch." And so leading up to that, every commercial break, it was Garth, and he was holding his red, white, and blue Buck Owens Telecaster. And I'm like, why is he holding his American red, white, and blue guitar? I said, he's going to play All American Kid. And so when it came on, my wife, she filmed me watching the TV, and it was pretty awesome. It was to see Garth Brooks singing one of my songs, and then to do it the way he did it with the military coming down the aisles, and yeah, it was special.
Yeah, it was. I remember that moment, and when I was doing some research on your background, I saw that he performed that. I'm like, I remember that moment. In 2016, Outskirts of Heaven, number 24 Billboard. What has this song meant to you?
Oh man, this song is very special. I felt like, I did this song not long after I wrote it at a charity event, and it was 3,500 people there. It was with Darius Rucker, Charles Kelly, and these guys are Grammy winners, number one song after number one song. I mean, there's a good chance Darius is going to be not only in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he's also probably going to be, in the Country Music Hall of Fame. So that's surrounded by those guys. And then you got me over here just trying to hang on. But I played Outskirts of Heaven that night, and it was a standing ovation. The entire room stood up, and it was the only standing ovation of the night. And I told my radio rep that night, I said, you have to back me up on this. I said, there's something special about this song. I don't know what it is. I said, but we have to tell the record label what just happened. And she said, I got you. So I went back and I said, Benny, I said, we have to put this song on the radio. I said, people need to hear this. And he went with it. And I'm glad he did.
I've seen some things online, people having tattoos about the song. So the fans have well received it.
Yeah, no, and I wrote it just for myself as a, prayer request kind of thing. If the good Lord's listening to my music, he'll know that I'm looking forward to having me a little chill spot on the edge of town kind of song. But I didn't realize how that song would help people deal with losing people they loved, and a song of healing. I never anticipated that, but I got all these stories that come in, and it's the validation of the power of music. And I'm glad that song was given to me, and I was able to write it.
Appeared numerous times at the Grand Ole Opry. What was it like the very first time you took the stage there?
I don't remember.
The blur?
Yeah, it was pretty. Well, we filmed it, we documented it, but I do remember being super nervous. I had been to the Opry a few times. I never stood on stage in the circle. I played piano for Tracy Byrd, and he played the Opry a few times. So I've been on the stage, but just the idea, and when you walk in, it says "Welcome, Craig Campbell." Congratulations making your Opry debut. It was like it's just a cool thing, and I do remember walking out, and my first words were, "I made it," and that's all I could muster up. And I do remember being worried that I would forget the words to my songs. I was so nervous about that.
Do you still get nervous these days taking that stage?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, not nervous, but just excited. It's a stage. It has that vibe. It's eerie, but it's because that of all the people that have stood in that exact same space, and but at the same time, I feel like I belong. It feels like I'm part of it, and I should be there. So it's a good feeling.
I've taken the tour of the place and been on the stage on the tour and stand there looking out, and can only imagine what it's like as an artist standing there with, the place packed and performing with all the people that have taken that stage before you. So,
right.
2018, your first new music in 2 years, the See You Try EP. How has that really platformed you forward?
See You Try was a song that was pitched to me, and it was I didn't write it, but it was pitched to me. I was like, this is a really good song, and it was a little different than anything I had done. And at that moment, the last song I had on the radio was Outskirts of Heaven. The See You Try EP, there's a song on there that I told everybody, I said, this song's a hit, guys, but they wouldn't listen to me. A song called Me Missing You. And as soon as we put the EP out, it has been one of my most downloaded or most streamed songs. And I was like, guys, I told you. But unfortunately, I'm no longer with that record label, so it doesn't even matter. But, having music that does that takes off and streams and downloads all on its own with no help. I mean, that's always a good thing for your career. Because then you can point to that data and say, my music works. And so that's one of the benefits of the actual See You Try album.
What made you finally say, I'm going to do this on my own?
Well, it was a combination of a few things leading up to just shaking hands with the record label and say, guys, you know what, y'all, it seems like you ain't happy with me. I'm for sure not happy with y'all. It was a good run. Let's just call it. And we shook hands, and a few months later we signed the termination papers. And I knew, but see, having 2 record deals, I learned a lot, and I learned what I did not want out of a record label. And then obviously things changed over the last 5 or so years. And, you got people that are being hugely successful without record labels. And you look at that and you say, how did you do that? And it all comes down to marketing and promotion. And, and if you have the money to do it, you don't need a record label outside of working songs to terrestrial radio. And if that's not a desire of yours anymore, you absolutely don't need a record label. And I've been happier the last year and a half than I have ever been releasing music, because I don't have anybody to ask permission. The only person I got to worry about is happy is with all of my decisions is my wife, and she helps me make every decision. So it's definitely stress-free.
The song It's About Time, which was recorded in 2013, what were the feelings of finally getting this released? And a little background on this, I saw you perform this in Las Vegas at the Silverton in April of 2017. You did it just with the piano and an encore. I came to the meet and greet because I didn't know what that was. And I said, what is the name of that song? It's a fantastic song, and you got to have some pride of finally getting this thing out. Yeah.
No, I fought for that song, and it was going to be the lead-off single following Keep Them Kisses Coming from my third album. But like I said, that album didn't come out. But I knew that song was a hit, and I knew that the first thing that I wanted to do independently was release It's About Time. Unfortunately, the same weekend I released It's About Time, the whole world shut down. So that song didn't get its due, but hopefully this summer when I put out the double album, it'll get a little bit of redemption.
Craig, from talking to you, then tell me, what are the feelings of producing music or songs that you are passionate about? Because I can hear the passion in your voice in some of the songs.
Well, I decided, especially since leaving the record label, I was not going to record anything that didn't get me fired up somehow, some way. If it's a song that I can't, put in my truck and really want to just listen to it over and over and over, then I'm not going to record it, because that means if I don't love it, I can't perform it in a way that would make anybody else love it either. So moving forward from the record label, that's the passion is there first. And then when you go in and start creating music, you feed off of all of that. So it starts off with just being in love with the song, and then the production just comes. And then when I sing it, it is what it is. And so to answer your question, the passion level is there because I passionately love the songs.
For listeners who may not be familiar with Craig's music, go to my show notes. I'm going to have links there to get you hooked up. If you're a party person, you like fun songs, you got to go check out Good Things Come to Those Who Drink and Mas Tequila, two really good songs that are fun, energetic. These have to be fun for you to perform it live too.
They are. Back when I released my EP, I realized that my first two albums didn't have any drinking songs on it. So in the last 3 years, I've made up for lost time. I put out Mas Tequila. Last year, I had a song called All My Friends Drink Beer. And then I just released a song called Good Things Come to Those Who Drink. So, it's fun to write those songs. And then, to know that when you wrote them, that they would make a great live show song, and people can get down and stomp their boots and all that kind of stuff. So, and sometimes when you write songs, that's what you have in mind. You're like, man, I need to write a song that's going to be great for the live show. And those are for sure.
I want to ask you about a couple more songs before you get into your brand new release and where the inspiration came from. One is Fly My Country Flag.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was writing with some buddies of mine, and we were talking about the state of country music and how some people were not very happy with where it was or where it was going and all that. And, they were just talking about this bro country and pop country and this and labeling it this and these people ain't country and that ain't country. This song sucks and blah, blah, blah. But then one of the guys said, well, I feel like country music's coming back. I feel like the more traditional music's coming back. And I said, well, I've been hearing that. And I said, and when it does, I'll be right here waving my country flag, And my co-writer looked at me and he said, we're writing that right now, today. And so we wrote it, but we didn't want to when we wrote the song, it was like, we don't want to make it sound like we were talking about like the bro country or the pop country. Because I honestly believe in my heart that every music is music. Mm-hmm. You do what you do and people love it, that kind of thing. But I knew that we had to write this song that wouldn't alienate anybody. And I feel like we did a good job.
The other one that came out in 2021 is What a Girl Will Make You Do.
Yeah. I'm surrounded by girls. I have my wife, my two beautiful daughters. I got a girl dog. I got a little boy dog. He frisks around here pretty good. So I think he identifies as a woman. But, so, I mean, I'm inspired and, my girls make me do crazy things. And so with all that in mind, my co-writer, Brian Davis, he threw this title out that day and he said, What a Girl Will Make You Do. I said, I got plenty of material. Let's go. And so started talking. I said, girls make you like, sitting down in a really small chair and holding your pinky up, sipping on an empty cup, pretending it's tea and blah, blah, blah. So we actually wrote the third verse last and then worked our way backwards. And so that's where that song came from. I mean, just I have daughters. Brian has got a daughter. And then our other co-writer, Blake, he has a daughter. And so it came naturally.
Your new release, Nevermind, I've been fortunate enough to give it a listen. I think you got another hit on your hands. I think this one's going to be big.
Man, your mouth to God's ears. That song is a phenomenon to me because I had that title for a very long time. Never mind, you were never mind. But I never could make it make sense. And every time I would throw it out to a co-write, they would love it, but they were in the same boat with me. It was like, man, I don't know how to make this work. So I almost deleted that song title many times out of my phone. And then one day I just woke up and I said, wait a minute. Never mind that we were this and we were that and we were that. And never mind that we had a great time, you were never mind. And so I had a co-write that morning and I told him that. I said, hey, I've brought this title up a few times, but I never had a story to go with it. But I feel like this is what it should say. And I told it to them and they both got extremely fired up about it. And so we wrote it in just a couple of hours.
Are you excited again to be performing and touring and playing music in front of live people again?
Oh, dude. Absolutely. I've done a few shows here lately and I usually kick it off by saying, it's good to see y'all. And I said, never thought about what that means when you say that, when you say it's good to see you.
Right.
If you'd asked me a year ago, how excited can a man get just to see somebody's teeth? I would not have had an answer, but I got an answer today. It's pretty exciting to be able to see somebody smile. So it's been nice here lately to play these shows.
How does your family motivate you?
Oh man, they make my job easy. I got great girls. They make being a dad easy and they make me love my job. My wife, she's super supportive. And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. But at the same time, and when I make music and when I perform music, my main concern is to make sure that whatever I do, that they're proud of it and they're proud of me. So that's my driving force, I guess you could say.
Craig, I was thinking of a question that I could come up with that was outside of music that might be relative to you and what's going on in our nation. And I came up with this, and I don't know if you can answer it, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, is how do we as a nation learn to help each other again?
Man, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I personally don't have any of the feelings about certain people that people are saying we have. Like it's, I feel like there's a lot of things that they talk about that aren't going to go away if they keep talking about it.
Agree. I keep thinking we need outstretched arms and people just need to come together.
Yeah. Stop being divisive in ways of when you're trying to, when you're doing things that you think are aren't divisive, that are actually divisive. For instance, I saw some people wearing some shirts this weekend at the airport, and it was like statements that I agree with, but at the same time, why do you have to wear it? Why do you have to put it? I mean, I think we all feel that way. Why? But why do you have to make that statement? Because the assumption is that you feel like you got to make that statement because you feel like other people don't feel that way, when in fact it's not true at all. So I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that's on people's minds that are there because people just keep talking about it. Stop talking about it.
Agree. Is it safe to say then, looking back, that the advice Luke Bryan gave you launched Craig Campbell?
Oh yeah. I could probably trace everything back to that conversation, he was like, you need to be writing songs, and I'm gonna help you. If you want to, when you get back to town, call me. I'll introduce you to Roger Murrah and you and Michael, y'all start writing and just this and that. And I went to town one day, and after Luke introduced me to some people, I was writing with, I don't know. I can't remember. Or he was writing with a guy named John Mabe. And he was telling John about how good of a singer I was. And John said, "Do you sing demos?" I said, "Yeah," but I had never sang any demos. I was just like, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'll sing demos." So he's like, "Well, my wife," who at the time I didn't know who she was, but she's a big, big hit songwriter. Her name's Connie. He says, "She's got a demo that she needs a singer for. Would you be willing to do it?" I said, "Yeah, man." So that introduction itself was my very first paid demo. Was an introduction from Luke. That demo turned into another demo, and then it just grew from there.
Mm-hmm. I know you didn't do it last year with, at least I don't think you did, with the COVID, but still going to do the celebrity cornhole. And how's that grown?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep going, but we just had to, my cornhole tournament, the success of my cornhole tournament hinges greatly on CMA Fest. So they canceled CMA Fest this year again, which means I got to postpone my cornhole tournament to 2022. But yeah, we'll, 2 years off, it sucks, but we're going to come back bigger than ever.
There's a lot of good things, people. You got to keep your eye out for Craig Campbell's Celebrity Cornhole. You can go to craigcampbell.tv. Craig, where else can people connect with you at?
All over, man. I'm fortunate to be the Craig Campbell that pops up when you Google it. I'm the first one. Social media is pretty much the same across the board. It's at Craig Campbell TV. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The only one that's different is my TikTok. My TikTok is Craig Campbell Music.
We'll put some links in the show notes for that as well. Today's show has been brought to you by Only 3 Snack Crisp, which is one of the most delicious, healthy chips available to snackers today. Spelt flour, sea salt, and spring water is all you'll find in this delicious 130-calorie treat. They are perfect with your favorite dip, on the go, in between meals, and as a bonus, They are vegan friendly too. Order your 3-pack bundle today at only3snacks.com. That's only3snacks.com. Craig, thanks for taking some time and being on Before the Lights, telling your story, your journey, and I wish you nothing but success going forward.
Man, I appreciate you having me, and yeah, I'm going to give it all I got.
If you'd like to get merchandise Before the Lights, go to the website, beforethelightspod.com/merch. We got brand new merch that you've been asking for, stickers and pillows and water jugs and all kinds of stuff. So go there and check it out. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Before the Lights Podcast. Thank you for listening to Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale. And until next time, everybody, a salute, a chin chin.